Hello. First confession of the evening. I'm very nervous, and I'll tell you why up front. It didn't work. It didn't work 3 minutes ago. However, we're here now, so I'm released with all of that. So welcome to this very first livecast of mine in my entire life. You know, with the corona hair. It's like a Kajagoogoo mullet. I sport now, and I'm not very proud of it, but you know, the main topic of the hairdressers in this country is, I think, a luxury. However, you know, I'll be going there next week myself to a nice barber or something. So welcome to followers of mine on Facebook, here on Facebook, friends, fans, and family. So welcome to this night of melody. It is live from my house. This is my piano working room. I'm sitting behind the piano right now. I'm sorry we cannot meet in real life right now because we're here to to premiere my new album called MAISON MELODY. In a way, it's appropriate to do it at the very house I composed in. However, my previous album, Homeground, was one where we had a launch party in the local city of Amsterdam in a club called Paradiso, and we had some live performances there by one of the contributors, Mary Griffin, doing the vocals, and we had a little show going on there with quite a few people actually. So this time is different, but then isn't that for all of us? We're all in quarantine, and let me tell you a short introduction for what I intend to do right here, if that's okay with you. So I'm glad you joined in on this very first episode, and it's of a series of a couple of livecasts where I just like to say up front, they'll be reasonably short. You know, I've been watching myself to a few livecasts where it does go on a bit. It's all made with a lot of love, and I think I don't have to offer something which is worth any marathon in life, really. That's my life in a nutshell. Everything is shorter. So also these type of livecasts, I'm gonna give you an indication that it's probably gonna last for another. These in-ear things, they never seem to be friends with my ears. Hold on. So what I expect is that that we'll be doing this livecast for another, say, maximum of 10 minutes. Okay. So then you know how to plan the rest of the evening. And what I'll do is, what you can expect in those couple of minutes is for me to talk a little bit about the inspiration for the tracks, how it came about, and then we'll listen to the end result of it. And you can, if you want, ask me questions about it. But without much further ado, let me just quickly tell you first about how the project gets started, and then move on quickly to this episode with the very first composition. So how it came about was that I thought last year by reading a book, and I'll show it to you right now. It is called Composers at Home. Oh, I'll get it right here. Composers at Home. And that is a book with, as the title goes, dives into the special surroundings of a composer when he creates his work, all out throughout the ages. So for a couple of centuries, composers do have a special relationship with the house they're in, because at the time there was not much touring, like again today, coincidentally. So working at home was your main activity, and what you can read in that book is that you look for that quietude when you want to start composing. And the whole process of composing doesn't really benefit from external distractions. You know, anything like a mobile phone or whatever, traffic or other people in a way. So it is known for composers intending to start to try and listen to what their inner life inspires them to compose. They've always been in a kind of a self-quarantine, if you wish, in their own houses ever since composing of music started. And I thought that was a very insightful perspective to think about it, my own experience in that. And I thought, yeah, that's right. I need to voluntarily, self-isolate. This was last year, 2019. There was no corona or whatever. And what happened was that I, through, trying to get into this hyper focus, I suddenly thought, yeah, I can do more than do the superficial thing. Let's try and be more introspective and tap my inspiration out of that, so to speak. So that was the starting point for the whole album. The other thing was an experience I had in Paradiso. That was with another artist called Johan Johansson. Unfortunately, the late Johan Johansson. And what I witnessed there was something that he could do with a limited lineup. Only piano, sampler, and a couple of strings. And to me, that was like a eureka feeling. An experience where I thought, that's right, I'm usually the guy who keeps on going, adding instruments, adding vocals, adding this, adding that, and it piles up to 100 tracks usually per composition. And I thought, yeah, but how about, less is more, like this guy does. And that added to my starting point of doing this album. And in a way, it's a little in memoriam for him. But in my search for fellow composers, I also came across an older composer who's no longer with us either. He was from Barcelona. He was described as the Barcelona equivalent of Claude Debussy. And I heard his stuff, and I thought, that's still current today. And he had a very famous work called Música Calada in Spanish, the music of silence. And I thought the music of silence means less is more, but also less notes, less musicians, no vocals, and try and see if you can really discover how you can do a good composition with very little means. So that is that. And then, thinking up what would be appropriate title as a homage to him, to the late Johan, and also to all these composers throughout the centuries, I thought, yeah, the communal experience we composers have is that we do this at home, and therefore melodies are born in that very house. So MAISON MELODY was born as an idea in my head. So that's how the album got started. So let's now quickly proceed to, otherwise I'm just the uncle promising not to be too long, overstaying. Everybody's welcome. And then at the meantime, you keep on waffling for hours. So let me quickly proceed to the very first track, which is on the album. The album got released internationally yesterday. It's on all platforms. And I should add, it's there for free. I think that it's a bit immoral to to come up these days with a product, which I don't consider my music, but say a product and then charge money for that, whereas people now might think they have worries if they can pay the rent next month. So I thought my gesture would be, this is it, soothing music for these times, free of charge. All right. So the first track was something I thought of originally as a pop song. And then I started working on it. It's an older melody or theme where I thought that'd be good for my 2 albums ago, International Blue. It's that old. And then I tried to turn it into a pop song with a vocal, and I didn't particularly think it was happening. So I preferred it in the instrumental version. And last year I thought back of that melody and I thought, why not further develop that in that limited lineup of the piano and the strings only, and make the composition less linear like in pop music, but just go anywhere you want. So what I'd like to do now is to quickly play you the starting point, the rough sketch of that song, and then I'd be happy to premiere and present the end result of it, how it's now on the album. So allow me to do a quickie here to play you the sketch, right? So that is how it got started, and I thought, how can I further develop this for not only repeating that theme, but just going somewhere else, take it somewhere else without the intention of it being recognizable or prove to be an anchor or a handle as you have in commercial music. I thought, just go anywhere you want. That was the liberty I gave myself. You know, that's the gift of splendid isolation and autonomy. So what I would like to offer you now is to play you how it came on the album with the piano part and the strings and the full composition. And I'll start it now for you to listen to, okay? right, so that was the opening track of the album, and you can get the album, or well, it's not a physical presence anymore. It's online everywhere, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, wherever your favorite platform is. That's where you'll see that the album is available since yesterday, really. So that was one of the 10 tracks, and what I propose to do is to present to you one track a day. And that will be another 9 days from now on, but I'm not sure if I can manage that. So it might be that I'll be smuggling in the schedule saying, look, today we're going to do 2 or 3. But anyway, it's each night from now on, same time as ever, 7:15 local time. And what I then like to do after having played you the track and the inspiration and the background story of it is what I would like to offer you is do a bit of a Q&A, if I dare say. No pun intended. So if anyone has any questions to ask about the whole project or the specific song, or indeed about me, I'll be happy to answer. I guess you can drop those right there as a post, and I can see your questions. Mind you, there might be a little time delay, like we always see on official television too. So in the meantime, I already had some questions by some followers of mine. One of the oldest followers in my career is a lovely person called Emma. And she had the question, when could you record in the studio? Because during Corona, those were probably closed. And Emma's right. They were closed, except that I was very lucky to be doing this with the mixer Francesco Donadello. He came over from Berlin, where he resides and works, has his own studio there. He's originally from Italy, and he came over to Amsterdam half of January, and we finished it half of February over here in the Electric Monkey Studios in Amsterdam to mix the whole album. And I think 2 weeks after that, that's indeed when the recording studios all had to close like anyone else, like the barbers, like the hairdressers. Same with the studios. So we were lucky that we were just about a fortnight running in front of, the situation we're in together right now. Yeah, good question. Can you also buy the music on vinyl? Well, that is similar to one of the previous projects I've done. I think when there's enough interest for that, like, a substantial amount of folks, then we'll press those up. And initially, now, we started off digital only. But thanks for the question, Hans. I appreciate it because, if there's enough interest, we'll get it for you. Well, it's almost embarrassing. It's more compliments than it's questions. So thank you all for that. I could do another question here. Peter wanted to know, what sparked your imagination to start this project? Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but I already told you in the introduction of this livecast that my imagination was sparked better because I was silencing myself out. And that is a great advantage of creating at home. It's better than whilst traveling, where you have all the distractions, as I said before. And the irony, and in a way that's kind of good and bad of it all, is that it now coincides with not composers doing their romantic stuff in quarantine only. No, it's the whole world in quarantine. Wasn't my intent, but it does coincide with each other. So my inspiration hopefully transfers and translates to other people getting inspired. And in fact, this morning, that was already the case. Now, that was yesterday morning already, that an old friend of mine, a dear friend, a lady writer called Patty, she said that she was listening to the music and suddenly felt the urge to start writing her new book again. And she'll mention this album in her book later on when it's being released, published. And this is exactly what I feel that the hashtag we try to promote, create at home, is something we can now do if we feel that we want to, shut Netflix out of our system for a couple of hours a day and you're bored. Well, I would say being creative is something that gives you a bigger fulfillment. It's not snack food. It's really satisfying to do something worthwhile during those hours that you feel a little lost. So if it's either composing or writing or whatever, it's just a wonderful thing to be always having that last refuge, that last resort you can go to during these difficult times. Then you go, you shut yourself up in a room, that is, and you take it from there. So that's something which now is become a universal thing, whilst last year, as I said, it became a very personal incentive for me to start operating that way. So I don't feel lost that much either, I have to confess, in these times, because it's what I started doing last year. So let's now say that we should stay healthy in the first place, of course. Otherwise, this is all nonsense. All right, well, I should add, because we're coming to the conclusion already, no idea if it's gone long over 10 minutes, but it might be. But, you can see the same episode, which is live each day, 7:15 p.m. Later on, when we redistribute it to YouTube and Instagram and all of that, or you can see it here in Facebook, on Facebook, at your own leisure and time. So, hope to see you tomorrow again, and for the next couple of days. And I thought it'd be nice to conclude each episode with a quote, a general philosophical quote, to be as if it was virtually to be found here on the wall of this house of melody. For the Dutch viewers, het Delftsblauwe tegeltje, maar dan virtueel. So the quote of today, which I'd like to conclude with, is, it's not mine, but I found it. It is, be who you are and what you feel, because those who mind don't matter. And those who matter, they don't mind. All right, well, so for now, I'd like to wish you good night. Feel free to tune in tomorrow, same time, and in case you want to tell me something, you'll know where to find me. And I'd like to thank you for this very first attendance. I'm relieved it's over, but I also enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. So, see you whenever you feel like it. Thanks for watching. Thanks.